republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Janutus?
Here.
Bedford? Saunders?
Here.
Salata?
Here.
Speaks?
Here.
Koji?
Here.
Mezek? Here.
Council, can I have a motion to excuse Councilman Posar from the meeting tonight by Saunders, second by Janutus? Call the roll.
Janutus?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Salata?
Yes.
Speaks?
Yes.
Koji?
Yes.
Mezek?
Yes.
Council, you have the minutes of the work session of November 20th, 2017. Any corrections? Seeing none, can I have a motion to pass? Accepted by Salata, second by Janutus. Call the roll.
Janutus?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Salata?
Yes.
Speaks?
Yes.
Koji?
Yes.
Mezek?
Yes.
And you have the minutes of the regular meeting of November 20th, 2017. Any corrections? Seeing none, a motion for acceptance by Mezek, second by Saunders. Call the roll.
Janutus?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Salata?
Yes.
Speaks?
Yes.
Koji?
Yes.
Mezek?
Yes.
And now we do have a presentation tonight, and I'd like to ask Dr. Wendy to come forward, please. You're used to this, eh? You get to do this every year. This is a good thing. As most of you know, next Saturday, the December 9th, will be Christmas in Bedford Falls, where we rename Bedford for a day and take a license to use the name from the movie It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, and we have all kind of happenings, and maybe you'll talk on that a little bit in a second, but first I want to proclaim the day. Dot's the chairperson for that event, and it does a lot of wonderful work to get that together, and I know you got a lot of people helping you, but it's still a lot of work on your shoulders. We do appreciate it. So let me read this. Whereas, in the summer of 1999, a small group of people from Bedford met at the Gaslight Inn, now Los Gallos, to discuss promoting the downtown merchants of Bedford during the Christmas holidays. A mission statement was written and reads as follows. The historic downtown business district is the heartbeat of Bedford. If downtown thrives, the community of Bedford will thrive. Whereas, in 2000, the name Christmas in Bedford Falls was given to this new Bedford event, taken from the classic movie It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed. By 2001, the second Saturday of December was established as Christmas in Bedford Falls Day. And whereas this year on Saturday, December 9, 2017, Bedford will once again become Christmas in Bedford Falls for the day as we celebrate the Christmas holidays with family, friends, and neighbors. Now therefore, I, Stan Koji, Mayor of the City of Bedford, on behalf of City Council and the administration, do hereby proclaim that the City of Bedford will be known as Christmas in Bedford Falls on Saturday, December 9th, 2017. Thank you.
I just want to say that this year we're adding the Dunham House, a tour there. First time the Dunham House has ever been open for this event. So the Historical Society will have their open house, and Valley Save a Pet will have their open house too. So we have a couple of things like that going on, Lolly and the Trolley, Santa, the Bean Vendors. It's all on this brochure. I'm going to leave a couple of these here if you're interested to pick them up. We have a very fine committee, and we're always open for new people joining in. It's not a closed group. You can come and be a part of it for next year. So.
Reports, Mr. Mellis.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple items I just wanted to acknowledge. We have once again, earlier this year, we had some issues with Norfolk Southern in the train traffic, actually stopping the trains, blocking the crossings. We worked to try to get that resolved, and it seemed to improve for much of the year, but it's starting up again. We have reached out to the intermodal. It seems a lot of that is caused by some of their dispatching from that location. We've had a couple of conversations with them. It seems like it has improved over the last week, but I urge any resident that if they witness this or if they notice that, call us immediately and we'll get on the phone with them. They understand, at least they're acknowledging that they understand that, you know, it's an issue. Primarily it's been taking place early in the morning during rush hours. So anybody witnesses that, if you can give us a call and we'll try to get on the horn and get that resolved. Just a friendly reminder, winter months are coming. During the snowfall, 2 inches, we do have a parking ban. This isn't simply to, it's actually a safety issue. It's a safety issue for emergency vehicles, safety for our plows. We want to get those streets cleared as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So please keep that in mind. Over 2 inches, our parking ban does go into effect. Again, the mayor alluded to Bedford Falls this weekend. I just want to thank Dot for the tremendous amount of time you put into this. I know you fire off all those emails to me, and I promise I get them and we'll have everything taken care of. But I couldn't see the event going off as well as it does in years past without your involvement. So thank you. I appreciate that. We did, and I want to thank Council and Mayor Kochi for their involvement with really trying to, along with a lot of other inner-ring suburbs, push the county to keep the demo fund. It looks like they're going to keep that fund available to the inner-ring suburbs. This was a fund that they had set aside, and it started out where communities were able to apply for funds to tear down residential homes. Actually, our building commissioner was able to, we were one of the first communities to get a grant that included both residential and commercial. We got about $600,000. We took down a few homes as well as a large commercial property. But that fund was in jeopardy of being basically taken away and dispersed to other programs, and it looks like it is being saved, and that's due to a large part of the inner-ring suburbs. And I want to thank Mayor Kochi for being involved in that. You know, obviously, if we can identify properties, luckily we're not in a situation where we have to go out and get millions of dollars to raise a lot of commercial and residential, but when there is properties that need to be taken down, we have an avenue where we can act and go after that fund. So we'll be looking to do so if we need it. Just want to lastly commend 2 of our departments. First is our service department and all their efforts in the leaf collection, and at the same time working to get downtown looking as nicely as it does during the holiday months. It has been a challenge. We've encountered a lot of electrical issues that's limited some of the things we've been able to do throughout the historic district. And you know, ironically, it's like how can that be? We just did it, but you know what? It's probably going on 15 years since we've done that downtown, and we need to look at addressing some of those issues. So kudos to that department. They've really done a great job in making it look festive. And lastly, I want to commend our police department. Our auto mile, we had some issues a couple weeks ago regarding some thefts to materials, tires throughout various dealerships at the auto mile, and our police department was able to locate the individual, not a resident of our town, but he has been apprehended and will be charged. So great job to those guys for wrapping that up very, very quickly. End of report.
Thank you. Mr. Montello.
Just thank Ms. Wendy again and all the people that helped her put on the event. Thank you very much. And Mayor, good job with the demo fund. And Mike, welcome back to work. business and individuals, reminding everyone who's affected by the tax increase with estimates to make sure that you increase those estimates accordingly. You can't miss it. It's a big white, yellow card, postcard that's going to be going out to everyone. So it's just a reminder to take a look at your own finances, take a look at how that affects you, if at all, in 2018, and to pay accordingly. Also, in line with that, you're looking at the new tax laws coming into effect in 2018, if in fact those get passed by the House and Congress and Senate. You need to look at the deductions associated to state and local taxes. In regards to this year, I will be sending out the invoices and the bills in December for estimates, reminding everybody that for the deductions on your estimated taxes, you want to get those payments in by December 31st. So you will have a December 20th date on there, just to remind you, and at the same time, you still are allowed to go through January 15th, but in next year you may not get your deduction. So keep that in mind as you make your payments this year.
Thank you. Mr. Janutis.
Thank you. I'd like to express my reasons for voting the way I plan to here in the upcoming issue having to do with a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission having to do with the old Medic building. There were many who expressed great objection to a dollar store going into the old Medic building. I appreciate all the people expressing their concerns. There was a petition, I understand, and I certainly appreciate all the people who expressed their concerns. I paid close attention to those objections. I also talked to a number of business owners and others who were very much for it. The zoning is for retail, and despite the name, according to the Planning Commission's minutes here, the dollar store is known as a general store type business and not a dollar type store, regardless of its title. The store would sell paper products, soups, soaps, refrigerated foods, dry foods, frozen foods, cookies, crackers, etc. So despite the name, it's really somewhat different than I think a lot of people are imagining. Also, for the Bedford as a destination folks, the store does not discourage people to come here from afar. An empty, dilapidated building that's been empty for many, many years is getting a $1 million renovation. And the description that has been given to us is not unlike what was already there in the first place. And also historically, going back to Franklin's Five and Dime. It increases the foot traffic for other businesses, and I see it as a good thing. I believe in order to have a thriving downtown in Bedford, there needs to be a blend of both those interesting, unique shops, but also businesses that serve the daily needs of those who live in this community. So I'll be voting to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission, which had no issues with the application and felt the renderings presented were indeed tasteful for the historical area, with involvement of the Historical Preservation Board, which met 3 times concerning this new store. Thank you.
Greg going before me. He's not here. Anyway, just a few quick things here. Dollar General, I know the reps are here. I hope next year for our Bedford Falls thing, you take an active participation into it and become members of the community, along with other things like the Strawberry Festival that the Historical Society uses as their major fundraiser to maintain the buildings. That's the second weekend in June. Hopefully that takes place because a lot of the businesses that are in town do get actively involved in it. I got a couple questions for Mike, who just showed up. That's why I did the other one first instead of last. I don't know if you're aware of the fact that the feds are looking at cutting out all of the historic preservation funds. Will that, if it does happen, affect the redoing of the convent up on Broadway? Or are they set with funds already under the previous bill?
I don't know the extent of what those cuts are going to be, but I do know, based on what they told us, it's not going to affect them. They already have their funding mechanisms in place.
Okay, well that's good to hear. It's just the future people then. Back to a pet peeve of mine, the snow and parking on the street. Have we ever resolved the issue as to what that 2 inches is? Is it 2 inches falling on the ground? Is it 2 inches of buildup of snow and ice on the road? Is it 2 inches of snow on the tree lawn? Or how do we determine what that 2 inches is? Because let's face it, if the plows can't get from curb to curb, you start building 6 inches, 12 inches away from the curb, they park within a foot of that. You're 2 feet out into the road in some cases, and of course that narrows the street to begin with. So, and then you take a foot or 2 off the other corner or side, suddenly you're down to a road that you can't pass something of a larger quality, which is primarily EMS, that I'm more worried about, or the garbage trucks for that matter. I know we were going to look into it last year, and no determination was ever really made as to what that actual 2 inches is.
What I've told people that have required is when you step outside in the morning and if it looks like there's 2 inches in your driveway, don't put your car on the street.
Well, I would agree, but
that's kind of what I've told.
If 2 inches came down overnight and the sun's shining, they'd still go on the street because they said it's not snowing at the present moment. I think we're going to need to do, as I mention every year, a little bit better of a clarification as to what that 2 inches means. Because there are people who still pull their car out first thing in the morning and take it in, hopefully, not all the time, before they go to bed. So we are under that mentality that the street is their parking lot, which is not the case. It's a temporary overflow of your driveway. It's only supposed to be temporarily used, not a permanent extension of your driveway. So the winter seems to be when we have the worst problems with that parking, normally. The summer we can deal with because you're not losing width of roads and stuff when it snows, but there are people that pull their car out and all of a sudden we get a lake effect band that comes through and they've left it there. So how do we determine that also, and who calls it in? The driver plowing? Or I know the police can't be in the residential streets, especially during the day, as much.
Our plow drivers do contact PD if there's
Okay.
issues on the streets, and then we go out and obviously, in years past, if someone's home, we ask them politely to move the car. If there isn't a response, then we will issue citations.
Because I have tried to tell a number of neighbors in my ward, you better get used to parking your car in the driveway because we are going to enforce it. So let's hope that's the case. Other than banning parking in the winter, which would be even more of a better thing, but oh well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Solano.
Thank you. I want to comment on the tree lighting. It was spectacular. I think it was better than usual. Maybe I'm just looking at things differently now. But it was wonderful. And I also want to thank our wonderful firefighters, paramedics, whatever, for their attendance to me that night. the old woman fell up the steps going onto the gazebo and gashed my leg. And they were right there, like that. And it still hurts, actually. But anyway, the guys from the service department, as was alluded to before, they work their tails off. You know, they are taking care of everything. Thankfully, not snow, but they're working hard, and they got that all the lighting. I just thought was beautiful. I don't know, beautiful, and doing everything too. So thank you to all of our people, and I feel like I'm friends with all of them, and I'll certainly miss them. I also want to comment to Dorothy for Christmas in Bedford Falls. She's done a wonderful job for the last several years, 3-4 years. 20. Well, what's the difference? Well, thank you. You do a great job. And I hope you have good weather. I mean, we know it's going to be cold, but we've been a little lucky with the weather the last few days, and I think we have a little snow coming. So, and that brings me into the next thing. Don and Mike both have alluded to the snowy weather coming, and there are rules. We all know that, and one of them is to keep our fire plugs free as we can, keep our sidewalks free if we can, if we're able, and there again, I have tried for years to get volunteers to do older people's sidewalks. This year I'm on the recipient list, but we'll get someone to do it. I have 4 sons, one of them will be over to do it. So, but in the meantime, happy Christmas shopping, happy Christmas decorating. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Spinks.
I'm looking forward to Christmas in Bedford Falls this weekend. I always get the pleasure for the last 4 or 5 years of being the bouncer for Santa Claus down at Frames in Fine Art. It's always fun seeing the kids and stuff. Of course, we've had to kind of build in Mrs. Claus a little bit. She likes to really talk to the kids a long time, so I would end up having a long line out the door, so we had to have a talk with Miss Claus to keep it under a couple of minutes with each kid, or we were there a long time. But it'll be at Frames in Fine Art again this year, and I always have the pleasure of getting to decorate for Santa Claus. It's always fun. It's always fun to see the kids' face when they see Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And this year, maybe a lot of y'all don't know that Frames in Fine Art, a lot of spectacular local artists are featured in there. So if you get a chance, even if you're not going in to see Mr. and Mrs. Claus, please stop by. We have a lot of our local artists, very talented people that will be showing their craft in their artwork this weekend. I have the honor of being one of the featured artists in there. I'm excited about that, so come by and see us. And I kind of wanted, Wally kind of stoked my thunder a little bit, and also was wanting to comment. He said everything I pretty much wanted to say on the Dollar General store. Like I said, having that empty building there as long as I've lived here before, seeing the eyesore, and our city has diligently tried to get businesses in there, and so this is the opportunity to make a lot of improvements on that building. The rendering, I see they have a great big one over there. If you get a chance, questions and stuff, look at it. It's going to be spectacular, and I think it's going to be a positive thing for the city. I know that we're going to make it a positive thing for our city. One other comment, Mike, towards you. Has Kimball changed their rules on picking up furniture? Because I've noticed, like last week, we've had several people moving out. They're not picking up couches. They're not picking up that. I have one on Natalie that's been there. It's going on 2 weeks now. And I know we called Kathy, and the people moved out, new people moved in, and he was all upset because he didn't want the neighbors to think it was his furniture. And we had another one on Flora. But yeah, and it looks awful because it's sitting there. And of course, if it snows, I'm hoping that they pick it up this Wednesday.
I'm not aware of it, but
Okay.
I'll check tomorrow. And then I do know that there's a house at 101 Ellenwood
Yeah.
that I noticed tonight. So we'll make sure we go out and You said there's a one on Natalie?
Yeah, and it's been, yeah, this is.
I'll check.
one
I'm not aware of
the-
any changes in their rules or anything like that. Obviously, move outs, if it's made aware or if someone notices that, the sooner you could let us know. What we've done is we've seen people do that, or you know, Friday, even Friday at the end of the day, we've gone out and make them take it back in. No one should have to look at something for 4
Well,
days.
Yeah, they moved out and they actually put it out, they put it out Tuesday night, and then they didn't pick it up on Wednesday. And the new owners moved in, and he did call and talk to Kathy, and she said something about sometimes they have different, you know, trucks and they couldn't pick it up.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Don, you had a comment?
Yes, I called Kimball on several of them in my ward, and they told me it's up to the driver that if he thinks it should be wrapped, like the mattresses in Box Springs, they don't have to pick them up. So that may be part of where it is. The specific driver himself can make that determination as to whether they wrap them. And they have said that certain chairs and certain couches, they could require them to be wrapped.
Okay. Well, I know the mattresses, and when I've seen people moving in and moving out, I see mattresses, I usually stop by and I put a note on the door saying that they have to be picked up. But that does make sense because some of the couches, it is a cloth couch, so with the epidemic of the bed bugs, I would see where that would be. But Mike, if you could find that out, because I know we did, you know, Kathy just said that she was going to own it, and it's still out there.
I'll
So.
find out.
Okay, thank you. End of report.
Thank you. Mrs. Bezek.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everybody. Dads, good luck this weekend. I know you'll have a lot of people coming down and enjoying the day. Hope the weather cooperates, even though, like Marilyn said, we've been there for colder Saturdays in December. I'm kind of excited, and of course, everybody's involved. Everybody wants to be there. And I know our downtown's looking like Christmas, so the neighbors are starting to get excited too, and they're doing the decorations on their houses. I do want to thank the new dispatch, Chagrin Valley. We talked the other night, even though we're getting ready for Christmas, I had a few people think it was 4th of July. So we had to call dispatch about 11:15 to let them know that somebody was having fun with fireworks. So they were nice enough to come out right away and had our policemen come out right away. And I said thank you, and I called them back and thanked them also. All seniors that are in here, I mean older people from 55 and up that belong to the Bedford seniors, is our Christmas party December 13th. I'm sure they'll have a nice afternoon for everybody as usual and do their best. As far as everything else, I think we're all getting ready for the holidays. And don't forget December 20th is, as Posio Stewart was here, Lights Out for Hunger that night. You don't turn on your trees. That night we would appreciate the money going to the food bank in Bedford at South Haven Church. Thank you. End of report.
Thank you. Just a couple other things. Frank, on behalf of the council, I want to extend our sympathies with the loss of your mother-in-law, especially so close after your mom. It's just a horrible thing for a family to have to go to. She's in our thoughts and prayers. Also tonight we had a dinner at the Chamber of Commerce. They had, they're merging with the Garfield Chamber, so we're going to have a nice big chamber. They had a nice meet and greet down at the Oak Barrel down in Valley View. It was a nice, well-attended affair. We welcome Garfield into our chamber. That should be a good thing. Also, a reminder that generally they're going to broadcast from the square, from our commons, and generally they visit 2 or 3 businesses around town and highlight them. But I think the timing is just excellent with Christmas in Bedford Falls the next day, so I'm expecting Saturday to just be a lot of people there. And weather's supposed to be cold but clear, so that'll be good. You mentioned The county executive, Mr. Budish, we're having another meeting. The First Suburbs Consortium, the executive committees, we're having a sit down with him tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. And again, to mention about the demolition, that we need to keep that going, and some other items we're going to talk to him about. It's a nice opportunity to sit with the county executive. It's a good thing. And I talked last time about the opioid problem and the program I learned about down at the National League of Cities. And I did meet with Dr. Selico at the school. They're interested in doing something. Unfortunately, 3 of the other mayors didn't show up for the meeting, so I got to get them one-on-one and talk about a joint school district program for the opioid problem, which is just a horrendous thing. So with that, let's get on with business. Ordinance number 9543-17.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 9317-15, section 17810C3 of chapter 178, entitled Income Tax, Penalty, Interest, Fees, and Charges of the City of Bedford, and declaring an emergency.
I have a motion for suspension. Spinks, second by Zalata. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Zalata,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Koji,
Yes.
Mizek.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Mezak, second by Saunders. Frank?
Yeah, the next 2 ordinances reflect the House bill that was passed by the state, and it's just some cleaning up of language in regards to the tax ordinances. One being that the penalty can't be greater than 50%, which is what the state stated earlier, and we are at 50%. That's the on withholding taxes only. And the declaration of estimated tax, there's 2 different due dates now. They're allowing the businesses have to be in by December 15th, and they're allowing individuals to be filed by January 15th of 2018. But then again, be aware of the federal tax laws and deductions. So all we're doing is we're matching our dates with their dates in this ordinance. That's it for those 2.
Thank you. And the whole big ordinance, we're changing 6 words that read equal to or not to exceed 50%. So we have to change it to reflect that. So, thank you for that. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Zalata,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Koji,
Yes.
Mizek.
Yes.
Ordinance number 9544-17.
Amending ordinance number 9317-15, pertaining to section 17807C1D of chapter 178 of titled Income Tax, Declaration of Estimated Tax of the City of Bedford, and declaring an emergency.
I have a motion for suspension by Saunders, second by Mezek. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Zalata,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Koji,
Yes.
Mizek.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Spinks, second by Zalata.
Again, the dates are both December 15th now. They're moving the individual up to January 15th. Again, be aware of the tax law changes that could happen in 2018 when you make your payments and estimates. We don't penalize unestimated payments, but it doesn't really affect us in that regard. But you may want to take a look at what the timing is of your payments.
I think it's just a few words that bring it in compliance. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Zalata,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Koji,
Yes.
Mizek.
Yes.
Motion,
Yes, can we get a motion to approve Bedford DG LLC of Birmingham, Alabama, developer and Helco acquisition pertaining to the medic real estate LLC owner located at 647 Broadway Avenue, proposing to completely renovate the interior and exterior of the property currently known as the Medic Building, permanent parcel 812-13-043. A yes vote would be to approve the project. We first need a motion.
for that, motion to accept by Mezak, second by Saunders.
actually to the general, out in the audience. Are you gonna have security cameras posted on the building and inside the building just so that it can keep some of the riffraff that may or may not happen in parking lots and stores and stuff like that?
Yeah, yes, sir. They have cameras inside, and then depending on the crime index of the area, and I don't know what it is for Bedford, I can't imagine it's very
Not
high.
that bad.
Yeah, they determine how many they have outside. They're going to have one over the loading door where the merchandise gets brought into the store. It could be more than that, but there'll be at least one there.
All right, thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Salata,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Koji,
Yes.
Mizek.
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Good luck. And, be keeping an eye on you. Thanks for coming into the community.
We appreciate it, y'all. It's been great dealing with everybody.
That's it. That comes to that point of hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak, please come forward, state your name, address, and your comment. Before we do that, I just want to welcome our esteemed member of the school board, Mr. Tench, for being here tonight.
I'll be up in a minute.
Maybe I don't want to welcome you. You're always welcome here.
Nancy Wachowski, 197 Wando. Mike, I just wanted to ask you a question. Have they done anything more with the old Zell property on Gould, the home that, was supposed to be demolished, and then the state or somebody came back into the deal where they're not demolishing it now?
You're referencing 38 Gold, ma'am?
Yeah, that's 38.
You want to give an update? Or?
Yeah. I actually worked with the contractor. We just issued them a permit to rebuild the front porch, the front steps. They're replacing all of the exterior doors on the property and they've renovated a lot of the outside. So they are bringing the exterior place into compliance. It's been a long, slow process, but they're working with us.
I know, it's been a while, because, I saw them when they first came there. And then after that, I have not seen anybody. When I go by, I haven't seen anybody there, nothing else done. So I was just wondering, what was going on with that property.
I actually just issued the approval today for the front steps.
Oh, okay.
Part of the issue was this makes no sense to me, and I'm sure it doesn't to anybody else in the room, but the bank that actually owned the properties out of Texas, that bank hired another operation out of Florida. That operation picked a local contractor. So when we sent a picture of our case loader in front of the house and said it's coming down in less than a day, that bank went into panic mode, contacted us directly, and they've been directly in the loop ever since. And within the first week, I think they addressed all of these safety items, and they've really worked in good faith to where we felt it wasn't in a position for us to demolish. There's still a significant amount of work that needs to be done inside, but we're finally dealing with the bank directly, who really was kept out of the loop until that final notification and photos came over to them. And they've been very responsive. Should it have gotten to this point? Absolutely not. But, our main goal was to get the property addressed, either fixed up or torn down. We don't arbitrarily just want to go around tearing houses down. If it gets fixed up and it's a good house that someone can move into, that'd be great too. But that's why it did not come down.
I remember, at the meeting when you said it was coming down and then when it was reversed, and I know I went by there probably the next day or so after that, and there were people out there working, and then I didn't see anything, so I was just wondering the status on that. And I was wondering, I don't know if it's Dot's responsibility to have anything in the paper about about the doing on Saturday. But they have in the Sunday paper, they have a section in there on our town. I was surprised because I didn't see anything in there about Bedford. And I was hoping there would have been, you know, something in the paper, you know, but there was nothing in there, so I didn't know, you know, whose responsibility that is, or if it was just a miscite or what, you know. But I thought it was.
We'll blame it on Dot.
Yeah, well, that's why I figured.
No, but we send a lot of stuff to the plain dealer that they choose not to put in.
Well, I know.
We don't know.
Well, I know only once before that I had ever seen anything in there about Bedford, and that was a long time ago.
They charge you a pretty good charge to put it in that
Yeah.
section around town. It used to be free, but it's not anymore. It's very expensive.
Was that in there for our town, that article, small
Yep.
little
You
city?
have to pay
Oh,
for that.
well, forget them then.
They got a pretty good advertisement in the news leader, which covers all of northern Summit County, because they were in there last week with that one, so.
Yeah, that was good. And I just want to thank the two gentlemen here for bringing that Dollar General here. I was in Florida the one year when it was I could have been one of the very first stores that I had seen visit groceries, and they really did a beautiful job there. So I'd like to thank you. So I'm sure it'll be a good asset to the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Sifka, 130 Grand Boulevard. Over the last 2 to 3 months, there was a rash of car break-ins in different parts of the city, almost like every weekend. Haven't heard anything in the last couple of weeks. Have they caught anybody?
We've not made an arrest at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, to connect them to specific ones. We have caught one individual, but not the ones you're speaking of.
Jeff Doodle, 134 Harriman. You know, every year in wintertime, we bring up the complaints about parking, and nothing is ever done about it. I don't even know why you bring it up anymore. I mean, if you're not going to do anything about it, it's like the railroad tracks, you know, nothing. But anyways, the reason I'm here, and this kind of goes to you, Stan, because you have some expertise in this. If they were having a doing in this room right now, and there was 500 people in this room, this room has a posted occupancy, right? So if it exceeded the posted occupancy, then how do you alleviate the 500 people in the room?
We'd ask people to leave, or if we had to, we'd bring the fire department over or the police department to enforce it.
Okay, so what if it's not posted?
Good question. They're supposed to be posted by.
Okay, which brings up, and I'm glad the building inspector is here. And I didn't know this, but I found this out just a week ago, that if you want to have the occupancy posted for your building, that you have to fill out, you have to make a request for the building department to go in there, and it's a $25 fee to have the occupancy determined for that particular building. And if that's the case, then people would be better off not to even have the occupancy done, because if there's no occupancy posted, then there's no enforcement.
Right, well, some of that gets caught during the, the fire inspections when they go in and require them to post it. They don't tell us. Good question. Go in there and I can check with the fire department and see what their policy is. And I know Calvin, when he finds a situation, and then we deal with it.
And to speak to that, buildings or structures that were built prior to 1979 are not required to have a certificate of occupancy by the state of Ohio. If it's an A use or assembly use, even before 1979, the assembly use or that hall would have had an occupancy load posted. At that point in time, it is up to the fire department to enforce it.
But if it's not posted?
If it's not posted, then somebody's taking it down.
And then if they want it back, then they have to come in and and get a permit for that for $25?
Yeah, we don't, we're here to provide the service for them, yes. They're not obligated to have it. If they want it, they have to request it.
Okay, well then, enforcement-wise, then you have a real problem with that.
John, I just had a discussion with Chief Needer about this on an unrelated matter, but if we know of an event, then we could ascertain, a lot of times the police or the fire department will call the event promoter of the event and ask how many people are coming, how many, how many tickets are being sold, if there's tickets being sold, and how many, and if they can get the cooperation of the person, and they know pretty much the capacity of most of the buildings in town, even if it's posted or it's not posted. So if they work with us and come to us, we'll tell them whether they need additional security or not, or if we are anticipating more than more people than the building can hold, we'll have people outside and telling them that we'll have extra security outside in case there's a concert or something along those lines. So it's all about planning, and if we find out about something, we ask questions basically.
But it's also the building owner, it's their responsibility to have it up there. If they were required to have it, it's up to them to require, or it's up to them to have it posted. Now, if it gets taken down, a lot of times they paint the walls or something, they don't put the plaque back up. I don't think that'd be a big issue if somebody says, oh, I forgot to put the plaque up, can I do that? And as long as they didn't remodel anything, they can hang it back up. We're not gonna charge them $25 for that. But the building owner is responsible for all that. It's, ignorance of the law, as they say. It's not an excuse. Thank you. So it's up to them to do it. And then during the inspections, and when I was back doing it, when we find a situation, then we deal with it when we found it. We don't specifically go out. But we used to do permits every year too. I don't know if they're doing them now. A lot's changed in the 18 years since I left there. So, but I'll check with the fire marshal, see what his policy is. And,
Is there a specific building that there's a concern over? And you don't have to tell me now. I mean, if there.
No, but the whole thing was, when someone had asked about an occupancy load for the building, and in looking to get them the answer to that question, I was told that they have to go to the building department and then fill out a form and then pay $25 to find out what their occupancy is. And it just didn't seem correct to me.
no, that's like I said, back when we were there, that fell on the fire department. I think the laws have changed a lot over the years since we left, where the building department's getting a lot of more of those enforcement up front. On a new place, the building department obviously sets the parameter. The fire department's charged with maintaining it. So as they do an inspection, they go in and they should be asking to see whether their occupancy load is posted. It's up to the building owner to do that, to post it.
One more real quick. When you talk about mattresses, and unfortunately I don't remember the city, but I happened to see a rubbish collection truck picking up a mattress that wasn't wrapped. And then when I looked at the truck, it was a Kimball truck. And I was kind of surprised at that, and I was wondering if that's a city requirement, or is that supposedly their requirement?
Supposedly their requirement.
I was really surprised to see.
Yeah, mostly they won't even do it. Now, I don't know if in that specific instance, maybe that driver went, looked, and said, you know what, it's fine, I'm going to take it.
Maybe one.
Yeah, maybe one. I'll look into that with both fire and building, and we'll get you an answer this morning.
Thanks, Mike.
Tim Tench, 286 Marion. First of all, I'd like like to welcome Dollar General in the city of Bedford. I have to admit, when I first heard Dollar General was going in there, I kind of said, "Uh-oh," you know. And it's unfortunate that some, you know, the stigma that warranted or unwarranted it goes along with that. The bottom line is, I think that the citizens, speaking for myself, the city wants a good business in there. As long as it's a well-run business, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as it's well-run, I'm sure we want to do that. So welcome to Bedford. This may be all old news because I missed the second meeting in November, but I'd just like to thank the city of Bedford for their support in my reelection, as well as Phil Stevens and Rob Kennedy. I saw the election results from both elections, and we killed in Bedford, the three of us, and they carried the day for us. So thank you for everybody that supported us here and throughout the city. Special thanks to Sandy, because she was out there helping me out when I couldn't be at the polls at City Hall. And so thank you for taking care of that for us. And best of luck to Marilyn. I'm not going to be here for your last meeting, Marilyn, but you know, you've been over the years, such a big advocate of our school system and a supporter. And I could always count on you to sending shouts out for our students and our district. And just so you know, it means a lot to me as a lifetime resident and known you for all these years, and just wish you all the best in your next chapter of life, and stay away from the stairs on the gazebo, because they will get you. And good luck to Greg too in his new endeavors. And congratulations to Heather and Vic. The times are changing in and around the city and the school board and in the different areas, and so exciting times for us all. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Oh, and Tim, it was a real treat meeting your great aunt Sunday. For those who don't know, every Friday of the first Friday of the month at Light of Hearts, I do a proclamation for all their residents that reach 90, 95, 100, and beyond. And a few months ago, I had a 103-year-old, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, 103. And yesterday, I got to attend Tim's great aunt. She was 106. And when I look over the room, she would not be the one that I'd pick out to be the 106. But it was a delight to meet her. And, she was still pretty sharp there, probably.
Very sharp, very sharp. And I just, as a sidebar, Friday afternoon around 2 o'clock, it was brought to my attention we should have a proclamation for my aunt, and because she had just got moved up to Light of Hearts, and it was suggested, well, I call Stan. This is maybe a little insight of what we go through here in Bedford. And I said, I'm not going to bother Stan at 3 o'clock 2 or 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon for something that we needed on Sunday. And 20 minutes later, I run into him at Bedford Falls. So we were talking, and the next thing I know, he's there Sunday with a proclamation. I don't know if Lori had anything to do with it. Thank you, Lori, if you did. But it meant a lot to us in the family. I got a lot of calls last night because it got on Facebook and this morning, and so I can't thank you enough for making the effort and making it happen to a very special lady in our family. So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. I enjoyed doing those.
Kathy Williams, 491 Lansing. I know that the city is picking up the leaves. Is the chipper going to be gone now until spring? Because someone on our street cut down a tree and everything is on the tree lawn. And do we have to look at that until spring?
We're trying to. Some of it has to do right now with manpower.
Yeah.
Because we don't run that because we have three crews out with 3 people on the crew trying to collect all the leaves. But let me see if we can get that cleaned up.
I really appreciate it because it's like a stack. I should tell them. And I saw that the church on Broadway, close to Forbes, was sold.
we have the info yet.
I don't know, but it had to be another church though, right? I mean, I thought a
It
church
doesn't
had
have
to,
to be.
but I thought a church had to be sold to a church, otherwise they have to pay back taxes?
No. The new property would have to pay taxes.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if it becomes just a dental office or something, yeah, they're a regular business, they would pay. If another church buys it. A church doesn't have to buy a church building.
Okay,
They just would lose the tax exempt. That's a church exempt.
okay, all right, but we don't know yet.
No, they just sold. Matter of fact, I just asked Calvin about that before the meeting.
They just hung their banner up, but we have not been contacted yet for transference of title or anything else, and so we're not sure who the purchaser is.
Okay.
Those
all right.
deals take a while anyhow.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, can I have a motion for adjournment? By Spinks, second by Janutus. Call the roll, please.
Janutus?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Shalala? Yes. Speaks?
Yes.
Cochee?
Yes.
Mezek? Yes.
Thanks for coming.